जब सब ये कहें खामोश रहो, जब सब ये कहें कुछ भी न कहो, तब समझो कहना लाजिम है, मैं जिंदा हूँ, सच जिंदा है, अल्फाज अभी तक जिंदा हैं, अल्फाज अभी तक जिंदा हैं।
I think it's really interesting to meet our friend Gauhar Raza. Gauhar is not a guest, he is a family member actually. Gauhar Raza is a scientist, is a poet. He has worked in different movements. He has been part of the People's Science Movement. He has been part of Nistad. He has been part of the Palampur Declaration. I don't want to go into details. So Gauhar has been an excellent friend. He has been working with People's Science Movement since the days of Jan Vigyan Jatha in 1987 and even earlier. Today he has come here in Kolancheri to inaugurate KSSP's 59th conference. So we are doing a small conversation with Gauhar for Science Kerala. Welcome Gauhar.
It's a pleasure and honor today to be with you.
It was quite exciting to meet you after a long time. Yes. And then I was moved by what you mentioned towards the end of your inaugural speech, especially about the role of KSSP in the present Indian context. It was really exciting 80s and 90s when we took up the National Jatha, VJ, and so on. But what do you think? If we think about a national movement of that type, what should be the focus?
I think there are two things. I also gave a caution that this is not 19 or 80, 80s, 90s and 80s. There is a problem at the moment. And we are facing a much, much bigger and nastier enemy and challenge. So, one has to look at the organizations, individuals, as we had looked during 80s and 90s, and collect them and gather them. These may not be just left of the center people.
Right, you are very correct.
Today, anybody who is trying to save democracy
will have to be brought together.
In 80s and 90s, we had sufficient number of people who were left of the center and we could gather them together. They came with a commitment to ideology. Here is the challenge that anybody who is anti-fascistic today needs to be brought into the fold. That is point one. The point two is that today they are pitching, the fascistic forces and Hindutva and RSS are pitching their political agenda at a very emotional level. So we have to be creative today in order to convert our entire campaign into an emotional campaign. Link it to maybe the future of the country.
True.
Today.
Future of the country.
Future of the younger generation. That if science is hit and scientific temper is hit, then your younger generations are at stake. Their future is at stake.
I agree. If you go back to 80s and 90s, no, we definitely made use of art and culture, theatre, poetry in a big way.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of people who are basically trying to kind of come together around constitution, democracy, they are a little too serious. No, they are not talking the people's language.
Correct.
A lot of academic debates are going on, fine, but it's not reaching out to the people. So I think, see, a newer version of how to talk to people in creative manner, how to make use of their culture, folk, music, a lot of such things will have to be, and new media is available now.
Yeah,
you can reach out to more people now. Unfortunately, that kind of creativity is coming up. What do you think is the reason for that?
I think that the new blood has not been infused into the People's Science Movement. Because the old generation, which is my generation, is still stuck and is still basking in the past.
Absolutely.
The same issues of maybe appropriate technology, etc., etc. There is this younger generation which is not inspired by the old slogans.
Absolutely. They need a new dream.
Absolutely. It has to be, the old dream has to be transformed into a new dream and presented to people. And as I'm saying again and again, that it is emotional touch that today's younger generation requires. We could give a touch, emotional touch, at that time with old slogans which we know and we were inspired. But today's generation has to be brought into the leadership, so that most of the leadership doesn't know how to use new media.
That's it. Absolutely.
So how can you even imagine that they will be inspired
there is a
by?
very definite disconnect between the older generation of right-thinking people and the newer generation of right-thinking people. There is this disconnect. Somehow, they are not able to translate to each other. That's a big problem.
See, as I have been suggesting recently to very many friends, that there is this NGO or civil society, as it is called, which has inspired a lot of young generation people who have been working on various kinds of issues. They are not left of the center. This was probably the younger generation which should have come to the left.
Yes.
And has not been with the left for past 20, 30 years. And this is exactly the paper that was written.
I know.
And that was the understanding of the left at that time, that this is going to divide the left, which has happened. But they are progressive. They have been hit after 2014. In my opinion, they have to be brought together.
A broader base has to be built.
Definitely. And as an activity, we cannot think of a Jan Vigyan Jatha today. We don't have capacity. Let's not fool ourselves that we can do something like that and so much of energy can be generated. Therefore, in my opinion, let's give a call, an All India call, to celebrate a week like Diwali or Holi or
of science and celebrating science,
celebrating
and
science
New
and
India,
scientific temper, New
science
India,
for New India,
and pitch it at emotional level.
Yes.
That this is what is being challenged by the other forces.
What will be the right place to start such a thing? For example, during literacy campaign, we have seen a lot of energy coming up in the villages. Even far off villages came to our call and they were dancing around. They really felt it's our campaign. But I don't know, when we talk about science and a new dream, etc., unless we are very careful about the idiom in which we talk or the language in which we speak, I don't know how they will resonate. Or will that be the place? Or do you think campuses, colleges and schools, children, youngsters, will there be space for this kind of a thing? What do you think?
See, it's a very difficult question. Even at that time, it was a very difficult question. Where to start, whom to approach, how to do it. It's as difficult today. In my opinion, we should not exclude anybody.
Try it everywhere. Maybe some places may respond, some people may respond.
India is too big.
Yes, I know.
See, we did it during that period, and you are very well aware that in northern part of India, we failed to sustain except for Haryana and
very few
Himachal
places.
Pradesh, right? We tried in UP, we tried in Bihar, we tried in Madhya Pradesh, we tried everywhere. Madhya Pradesh is still, it has sustained a little bit.
Yes, it is there, but then it has to be, I think it's also our mistake, because each place in India needs a different kind of approach, Bihar maybe looking for something completely different from Himachal or Haryana.
Yeah.
So that
or
also,
Tamil Nadu
Tamil Nadu
or
yes.
Assam.
So you have to take that into consideration. Science will be the overarching thing, but then it has to be different from place to place. Even development in Jharkhand is very different from development in Kerala. Or, that we have to keep in mind. So,
absolutely. But we have to convert the entire thing into a celebration.
Yes. Science, New India, a celebration of the entire people. A people's festival for science and New India. Something like that. You can really click, whenever we go and do work, maybe on environment and panchayat and so on, the kind of response that we receive has been extremely good. In villages, even in Jharkhand and Orissa recently when I went, people are waiting. As you said, they are there in waiting. You rightly pointed out that. So, we will be doing a big mistake if we don't go to them.
Absolutely. My 30 years of work at Kumbh Mela has suggested every time that a common citizen in the country has two ways of thinking, or his cognitive map, or his imagination is divided into two compartments. One is irrational, completely. He is religious there, mythical and everything. He believes in all kinds of things. But the other one is completely rational, scientific, etc.
And they combine and live these two phenomena together very easily. It's not complex for them,
For them, there is no contradiction between the two. We need to enlarge the other part.
That space,
They are waiting for us because they did not go in for cow urine.
Absolutely, absolutely.
During Corona period, they rejected.
90% of them don't accept that. It's basically kind of, we are fooling ourselves by saying that people believe in that. People do not believe in that.
People do not believe. The government of India tried to push all kinds of things through that, whatever the ministry is called.
Yes.
All kinds of things. People did not accept.
Did not respond,
So, the whole thing, in my opinion, is today that we need to reach out, as you said. People are still waiting for us. But they may not wait for a very long time.
For a long time. That's true. So it's for us to kind of catch up fast and move towards people. Science is relevant. Probably that is the relevant thing now. And it has to be connected to people.
And I have no hesitation in accepting that all of us sitting in Delhi, Himachal, here, there, all parts of the country were only supporting force. The powerhouse of science movement was KSSP.
This is a big responsibility. You are giving us a huge responsibility. I think we'll have to respond to that. We'll definitely.
Had you not been there in Kerala, nothing would have happened. Nothing elsewhere would have happened.
That's a confidence that we should. Unfortunately, sometimes, I feel sitting in Kerala sometimes, we don't fully realize this responsibility, We are doing a lot of things in Kerala.
But you also don't realize how wonderful things you have done.
That's true.
It is not only a question of responsibility. What wonders you have created. See, I am a poet and a scientist. But before coming in touch with Kerala Shastra Sahitya Parishad, these were two different compartments for me.
Absolutely.
My friends, Prabir, Raghu and others,
they talk one language, and when you have to write poetry, you go to other room and sit all alone.
Of course. You couldn't have imagined reciting poetry before them or writing some song for them. But you opened up that thing. I think this debate in the West went on for a very long time. C.P. Snow wrote that famous book, Two Cultures. But you in practice in Kerala showed that it can be done.
Can you recite one of your related poems, just for some lines?
See, I'll recite one, a recent one which I have written.
Please.
Which is inspired by one of your old poems, Endagundam.
Endagunda.
Right?
Yes.
That was the
Why? Yes.
Why? Where you ask question. So recently I faced a phenomena where people were saying that take care of yourself, don't speak, don't talk too much, you can be attacked or you can be jailed or whatever. So I wrote this poem. जब सब ये कहें खामोश रहो, जब सब ये कहें कुछ भी न कहो, जब सब ये कहें है वक्त बुरा, जब सब ये कहें ये वक्त नहीं बेकार की बातें करने का, जब सब ये कहें कलियों का चटकना क्या कम है, फूलों का महकना क्या कम है, बिंदिया का चमकना क्या कम है, जुल्फों का बिखरना क्या कम है, शाखों का लचकना क्या कम है, प्यालों का छलकना क्या कम है। जब इतना सब है कहने को, जब इतना सब है लिखने को, क्या जिद है कि ऐसी बात करो जिस बात में खतरा जान का हो। जब सब ये कहें खामोश रहो, जब सब ये कहें कुछ भी न कहो, तब समझो पतझड़ रुत आई, तब समझो मौसम दार का है, तब सहमी सहमी रूहों को ये बात बताना लाजिम है, आवाज़ उठाना लाजिम है, हर कर्ज चुकाना लाजिम है। जब सब ये कहें खामोश रहो, जब सब ये कहें कुछ भी न कहो, तब समझो कहना लाजिम है, मैं जिंदा हूँ, सच जिंदा है, अल्फाज अभी तक जिंदा हैं, अल्फाज अभी तक जिंदा हैं।